Ooh, what's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG, WTF, LOL, FTWBRB. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. We are playing as the WWF in the year 2001. More importantly, we are booking the Invasion angle, and we are currently going to be running Thursday Night Nitro, and we're booking up to the Unforgiven pay-per-view. Quite a lot of things I just said there. Don't know why I said all that. Either way, nothing too important here. As usual, there are some things I like to keep hidden from you guys, because you know me. I like to keep you guys on the edge a little bit. Keep you on the download, the lowdown, surprise you sometimes. And the surprise is finally going to be over in this episode, as I have been waiting to pretty much get up to this point for a little while now. And I'm sure when you guys see it, and I'm sure some of you guys even know what's going to happen, you'll also be happy with the direction we're finally going to take. So, yeah, I had some things on the pre-show I couldn't show you guys, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Either way, let's go ahead and start out the show. We open up with a solid A rating, Nerds and Geeks. A solid A rating with Canyon. With Canyon in it. Hell yes. Solid A rating. Thursday Night Nitro opens up with Diamond Dallas Page. He's making his way down to the ring with a mic in hand. You can clearly tell he's still upset after last week, and we even go on to see the announcers, Diamond Dallas Page, man, that's a horrible Dusty Rhodes. I gotta listen to a little bit more Dusty to think of an impersonation, but I know some of you have been wanting to hear me do a Dusty Rhodes impersonation, so let's try this. Man, Diamond Dallas Page, I don't even know. He's been pretty upset as of late, man. Let's go back and take you to see where that doesn't even sound like Dusty Rhodes. That's horrible. That's an insult to the dream. I definitely am gonna have to work on my Dusty Rhodes. Either way, we go back to see pretty much the main event last week, to where Canyon got distracted by Hugh Morris and then lost to Ron Simmons or Booker T, I think, actually, one of the two. And then after it is over, the recap's all over. Page is now in the ring. He takes the mic. I take a drink. And he says, Shane, last week doesn't count. And before you come out here and say, you're always making excuses, DDP, last week shouldn't count, just like Book's DQ victory over me shouldn't count, and his fatal 4-way victory shouldn't count. Last week, Chris Canyon and his idiot partner is at fault. You and I both know I deserve another title shot. But Chris Canyon, or Canyon's music, interrupts Diamond Dallas Page, and out he comes without Hugh Morris, so no Hugh Morris, and he says, oh, Page, do you ever shut up? I don't know who's more annoying, you or Hugh. Speaking of Hugh, what you did last week, mate? I know the lad is annoying as hell, but you didn't have to take him out. And then you take me down as well? I thought we were pals, man. Page responds, well, I'm sorry to break your heart, mate, but you and I aren't friends. We go to our first promo over here, and we never were. Canyon responds, well, that's good to know, Page, because now I won't feel bad when I beat you down tonight. Because, unlike you, I actually spoke to Mr. McMahon, and tonight he gave me a one-on-one match against you. So I'll see you later, mate. And then Canyon just drops the mic, and he walks out, and DDP's like, oh yeah? Well, oh yeah? Well, I'm not your mate, pal! And that ends our opening promo of the night with a nice little South Park reference in there. Solid A, as I said before. Got the show off to a strong start. Crowd also was hotter. DDP was good. Canyon was underwhelming. But still, Canyon, A rating, and his first test of being on the mic with like a main event talent. Good for you. We go to our opening match of the night. Solid C rating. And about that had decent wrestling, but not much weighing heat. Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman, the match that was advertised last week after Billy Kidman defeated Dean Malenko for the #1 contendership for the Cruiserweight Championship, ends in a draw after we have a little bit of a repeat from what we've seen before. I know I've ran this angle earlier on, but forgive me. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I ran it a little too early in the story that I had in mind. That's why we haven't seen Chavo in a while. Excuse me for clearing my throat as well. Either way, It ends in a draw. Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman going back and forth, and right when it's getting hot, that's when I'd imagine Chavo Guerrero coming in and just hitting one of them with a chair or something, getting the match called out, and thus leading to the draw, pretty much. Or a DQ, call it whatever you want to call it. We did have a potential face turn, but we've been knowing about that for a while. Rey Mysterio with the C+, and Billy Kidman with a C+. Good on you. And you guys may notice that does officially start a little storyline we have called Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. So, hint, hint, nudge, nudge to see where we're going with that. Not yet. Oh, wow. Then to be fair, though, Nerds and Geeks, Chavo was not rated in this segment. So, let's not get too excited. Either way, we go to a solid B rating. I gotta clear my throat again, but I don't want to do it in your ears. Hold on. Alright, now that we got that out of the way. Solid B rating. We're backstage. We see Chavo. He's being escorted out by, security. I'd imagine maybe not William Regal, Lord Steven Regal. Let's get it correct. Lord Steven Regal may be coming out after it, asking, what the hell do you think you're doing here, yada. Security, get this man out of here. He doesn't work here, yada, yada, yada. So we see Chavo. He's being escorted out. Well, that's when Paul Heyman, who may not work for WCW, but works for WWF, and it's a weird little loophole, I guess, considering, technically Shane owns Nitro, but since the TV contract is still under Vince McMahon's name, Paul, stuff like that. Little loopholes. Let's go with it. Either way, Paul Heyman shows up and he says, whoa, 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 hold on just a minute, guys. Be gentle with him. You know who you guys are handling? This is Chavo Guerrero Jr., a member of the legendary Guerrero family. Chavo, I just want you to know that I've always admired your family, and I view you as the top prospect that you are. You know what, Chavo? Why don't you give me a call sometime? Here's my card. And then Heyman hands Chavo his card, Chavo takes it, and security continues to escort Chavo out while Heyman just keeps walking into the arena, smiling while the announcers, Bobby Heenan or Mike Tenay, well, Bobby, Paul Heyman said that he was going to be here tonight. He's here. What is, Paul E have in store tonight, or what the hell is he here doing here? Stuff like that, No. We then go to a B- rating here. We're backstage. We see Lord Steven Regal. He's in his office going over plans for tonight's match when Stacy Keibler and Chuck Palumbo walk in, and Regal says, oh, good. Miss Keibler and Mr. Palumbo are here. Just in time, too. Tonight, you, Mr. Palumbo, will team up with WCW's Power Plant and battle the always gullible Kurt Angle and that she-devil Trish Stratus peasants, TNA. Now, Mr. Palumbo, I know you have your issues with Mr. Angle, and that's fine. In fact, that's wonderful. Tonight you'll get the opportunity to show Mr. Angle just how dangerous you are. And gentlemen, tonight you've got Mr. Test and Mr. Albert. Do not underestimate them. Tonight it's all about scouting. While I would rather you three walk out with the win, remember that your matches at Unforgiven are much more important. Tonight is all about scouting and sending a message. Now, good luck, gentlemen. And, that leads us into our commercial break, which will lead us into our six-man tag match. It did get the crowd hotter, to my surprise, and it progressed both these storylines. Handle changes, who? Oh, yeah, we got to change his gimmick. Let's go ahead. Got an above average, not too shabby. Bodyguard gimmick, because it really was the only thing I felt fit the way I want to book him, so I guess, bodyguard since he runs around with Stacy, so he can kind of play the bodyguard of Stacy, whatever you want to call it. Chuck Palumbo, also improving in acting. Can't complain. Bobby Heenan, though, weak. That's a shame. Solid B rating, Nerds and Geeks, coming back from a commercial break. Solid B rating in a decent match. Chuck Palumbo and WCW's Power Plant go on to defeat Kurt Angle and the WWF Tag Team Champions Test and Albert when Chuck Palumbo defeated Albert with the torture rack submission hold after distraction by Trish Stratus. Yeah, no, let's ignore that. In terms of in-ring work, Kurt Angle was head and shoulders above everybody else. That doesn't surprise me, although he wasn't head and shoulders, I'd say. Regal really shouldn't have been at ringside, but you know me. I tend to forget these things. Let's ignore that Stacy Keibler or that Trish Stratus thing. Either way, Palumbo getting the victory. I wouldn't even really have had it been a submission hold, but whatever. Over Test and Albert, I should say, and continuing his rise. B rating, good job, guys. Albert with the B minus. Tess with the B, solid B. Kurt Angle with that B plus. So like we said, that's the best in the match here. Excuse me. Sean Stasiak with a C minus. Mark Jindrak with a solid C. And Chuck Palumbo with a C plus. So it kind of went up, actually, if we think about it. It goes C minus, C, C plus, B minus, B, B plus. So everyone was there. TNA versus Power Plant also gained some heat, so you can't complain. Kurt Angle improving in performance, still can't complain. Ooh, wow. Moving on to our next segment, Nerds and Geeks. A star, hell yes, A star. We're backstage. We're in Shane McMahon's office this time, and we see the Giant with him, and the Giant is complaining to Mr. McMahon about what went down on Monday Night Raw, and Giant says, "I'm done, Shane. You told me that after I took the dead man out that I'd get my title shot. Enough of this DDP crap, and Unforgiven. Booker T is mine." Shane then responds, "Well, you're certainly the favorite right now, but Flair, Regal, and I haven't decided on a challenger. Benoit has been really impressive as of late, and despite having a guaranteed title shot at the Rumble, I'm sure he wouldn't mind getting an early title shot. And, plus despite all Page's complaining, he actually does have his points." Giant, getting a little bit more frustrated, he says, "Damn it, no! I was promised my shot. I demand my damn title shot, Shane." Shane says, easy now, Giant. Let's not do anything we're going to regret. And in all fairness, I told you I'd give you a title shot when you take out the Brothers of Destruction. And I did. No, you took out one and beat the other. Sure, you won. Congrats. But Taker is still out there. And let's move on to our second promo. "And the last time I saw you and the Dead Man interacting with each other, I saw you jumping in your monster truck and running away." And then Giant getting, he just goes, "Fine. You want me to take out the Dead Man? Consider it done." And that's when, the Giant goes to walk out, and he opens the door, and when he opens the door, Diamond Dallas Page walks in, and he says, "Shane!" But, before he can even get the Shane, Giant steps in front of him, and both Page and the Giant have a quick little stare down with each other before Giant just, moves out of the way and finally walks out, and Page goes, "What the hell is his problem? Shane, you can't be serious. Canyon's got to be lying. You didn't put that loser in a match against me, did you?" Shane responds, "Yeah, no, I did." "But why? That loser isn't on my level." Shane responds once again, "Because he asked for it. And it's funny how that loser was fine to be your partner last week, but now he's just another loser to you. Have you ever thought that maybe the loser is actually you?" And then Page goes, No. Because it's not. Shane, I've got my valid reasons. Which brings me to my next question. I presume that this match with Canyon, this stupid match with Canyon, is a number one contenders match. Am I right? Shane goes, "What? No, what?" And then Page goes, "Then why else would I fight him?" Shane just responds saying, "Look, Page, just go out there, and if you beat him, we'll see about your title shot." And then, I'd imagine Diamond Dallas Page kind of, "Fine, whatever." And then he goes out there, accepting that he does have to face Canyon no matter what tonight. Everybody was improvising because Shane McMahon likes to go off script now. Shane, of course, enjoyed it, clearly enjoyed his freedom. Giant improvised well, and Diamond Dallas Page was superb without a script. Unfortunately, everybody, Dusty Rhodes, Tenay, and Heenan were pretty weak, but that's to be expected. Diamond Dallas Page was fantastic. Good on you, DDP. We then move on to our next segment, which is a solid B rating, Nerds and Geeks. We're backstage. We're with Mean Gene Okerlund, and he says, "All right, fans, joining me at this time is the man who will face our commissioner later tonight, Edge." And that's when Edge walks into the shot, and he says, "Now, Edge, this match is all because of what happened last week when you speared Lord Steven Regal in the middle of the ring. He tried to punish you on Raw when he put you and your brother Christian in a tag team match against WCW's Power Plant, but you foiled him on that day. And now tonight, he's looking to finish the job himself. Any thoughts before your match?" Edge then responds, "Well, I've got a couple, Mean Gene. Like I've said before, if Lord Regal has an issue with me, then I've got no problem settling in the ring. But let's not let Lord Regal distract us from the bigger picture, Gene. The only reason I even speared him last week is because he took one for his king, Chris Benoit. And you can bet your ass that after I'm through with Billiam tonight, I'm coming for the king." And it was just pretty much a hype segment for the upcoming match against Regal and Edge, and then, also to show that Edge still has his eyes on the King of the Ring winner, Chris Benoit. Unfortunately, Mean Gene did look dreadful, but whatever. Bobby Heenan was weak as well, which is still whatever, but they progressed the storyline. No worker improvements, but we move on into our next match with still solid B, Nerds and Geeks, solid B. In a decent match, Edge goes on to defeat Lord Steven Regal in 10 minutes, 22 seconds with the spear. Both superstars have a B- in the in-ring performance, so not too shabby on their part. Regal is improving in performance as well. We go to the next segment, which gets a solid A. Hell yes. Solid A. Edge, he just won his match against Lord Regal, but he doesn't have any time to celebrate, as the King of the Ring winner, Chris Benoit, rushes into the ring, and he grabs Edge from behind and just repeatedly hits Edge with a German suplex. Rolls into another one, German suplex, rolls into another one, German suplex after German suplex. It's Suplex City up in this bitch before it is Brock Lesnar, the original mayor of Suplex City, before Brock Lesnar took over, is taking it to Edge, and Edge is just out. That's when Chris Benoit, he takes both the WWF Intercontinental Championship, the WCW United States Championship. He gets down in Edge's face, and he's holding up the titles in his face, just screaming, "These will never be yours. These will never be yours," pretty much. Just screaming them at him because, Edge said, "Give me a shot at one of those." Benoit was fantastic. Gained heat with the segment. All in all, great segment, guys. Great segment. We move on to our next segment, which gets... Did I press next, or I don't want to... Hold on. All right. We're good. Okay, we move on to our next segment, so that probably commercial break in between. We come back to a match which gets a solid B rating, and a decent match here. The Canadian champion, the WCW Canadian champion, Lance Storm, goes on to defeat WWF's Dean Malenko in 7 minutes, 50 seconds with the Canadian Maple Leaf submission hold. Title wasn't on the line, just a match here. Storm had an in-ring performance of a B, Malenko with the C+, no worker improvements. We go to a C+ segment here. After the match, Lance Storm, he takes the mic, he's still catching his breath, and he says, that right there is just yet another example of why I'm not only the greatest competitor from Canada, but the smartest and most technically sound wrestler in all of professional wrestling. There isn't a wrestler out there who could lace my boot. And that's when something happens. But while Lance Storm was talking, out of nowhere we had Raven, who last time we saw Raven was on Monday Night Raw. Last time we saw Raven was when Paul Heyman left the card with him. Raven comes running out from the crowd. He slides into the ring while Lance Storm is still talking. And then he just does the whole, cross pose, the Raven pose, whatever you want to call it, behind Storm. And then, when Lance Storm's about to say, "Lace up my boots," that's when Raven turns him around, kicks him in the gut, and hits the WCW Canadian champion with the even flow DDT. And then while Lance Storm is just, laying there, kind of knocked out for a bit, Raven picks up the Canadian championship, once again does the Raven pose, the cross or whatever that, with the title in his hands, and then he just lays the title on Lance Storm and walks out, pretty much signifying that Raven wants the Canadian championship. Why? We'll learn more when we get to that. And if you didn't know, we also have a storyline to tell you too. We then go to a solid B rating, Nerds and Geeks. That's impressive that both Canyon and Morris are getting B ratings when they're rated on entertainment. Good on you guys. Solid B rating. We're backstage with Canyon. He's getting ready for his match, and that's when Hugh Morris comes walking in and he says, "Hey, Canyon, look, man, I know you're prepping for your match and everything, and you tell me all the time that you hate to be bothered when you're warming up, but I just had something I wanted to tell you. I wanted to make sure that I told you before you went out there, if that's all right with you. You know what, man, I'm sorry. I can tell I'm bothering you. I probably shouldn't have bothered you. I'm sorry about that." And then Canyon just finally goes, "What? What, Hugh? Just out with it already." And Morris responds, "Look, man, I just wanted to say thank you for having my back last week. I know I can be a bother at times, but thanks for being a pal, man." And then Canyon goes, "Yeah, right. Well, don't worry about it, Hugh. No matter how annoying you are, no one deserves to be treated like that." Then Morris responds, "Yeah, that's why tonight we're going to go out there and we're going to show DDP." And then Canyon goes, "No, there's no us. Please, just tonight, please. Stay back here. I can't be distracted. And then Morris thinks and he goes, all right, man. You got it. Good luck out there. And that moves on to our pretty much just our main event coming up next. Solid B here. Hugh Morris, unfortunately, did perform poorly, but so did Bobby Heenan, so whatever. We then go to the main event of the night with a solid B rating to close out the show, and a good match. Diamond Dallas Page does indeed go on to defeat Kanyon in 9 minutes, 35 seconds with the Diamond Cutter. No distractions, no nothing, just a 1, 2, 3, I win. No, unfortunately, there was a definite lack of psychology, so the match did drift a little bit, but whatever. DDP with the B+ rating, not solid B+. That doesn't make any sense. It's only solid when there's no plus or minus. And Kanyon with the B- rating here. No worker improvements. I'm curious about Chris Kanyon, though. Let's look at him real quick. Well suited to the style match. This was our Wild Brawl match of the night. Our storytelling match was the 6-man tag. Charisma, star quality, going all out. Kanyon got a lot of bonuses. Well booked. This is good. Alright, nerds and geeks, I like to give you guys some warnings sometimes before I click next. The next segment is going to be pretty big. If you guys don't want things to be spoiled for you when I click next and it shows all the pictures and everything, I'd advise clicking a new tab, minimizing your current tab, or whatever you want to do, just listening to the sound of my voice while I tell you what's going on, so Total Extreme Wrestling doesn't spoil anything for you. For those of you who don't care, we're going to move on now. So we end off the show with a solid B rating, nerds and geeks. After the match, Diamond Dallas Page, he takes the mic and he says, Shane, I want my title match. I don't give a damn about the match at King of the Ring. I don't give a damn about last week's match. I deserve that title shot. I deserve that one-on-one match for that belt, and you're going to give it to me. But he doesn't get Shane McMahon's music, not in that all, nerds and geeks. Instead, he gets Booker T's music, and out comes the WCW World Champion. And both he and Shane actually make their way down to the ring. Shane then takes the mic and he says, Paige, you're starting to sound like a broken record, man. You lost at King of the Ring, and when Book and I gave you another shot last week, you still lost. Paige says, I don't care, Shane. I don't care. Book has never beaten me in a one-on-one match. Book can't beat me in a one-on-one match. He knows that, you know that, and these people know that. That's why you two are ducking me. Book then takes the mic, finally says, Man, Paige, would you shut the hell up already? I can beat your punk ass anytime, anywhere. In fact, I've already done it. You're in the back of the line now, sucker, so get to stepping. He tells him to get to stepping, and we move on to the notepad real quick to our final promo of the night, as soon as I find it. And he tells him to get the step in. That's when Paige and Booker T, the two enemies or allies, whatever you want to call them, frenemies, they get in each other's face, they're arguing, they're bickering. Shane's trying to break them up. He's saying, come on, guys, come on, let's not do this right now, come on. And that's when, it's starting to look like they're about to fight. We're about to have a brawl between Paige and Booker. And then Paul Heyman's music hits. Paul Heyman, the man we've seen last week, threatened Shane, telling him he was going to be here last week. The man on Raw we saw talking to the likes of the Dudleys and Raven. And the man we saw talking to Chavo earlier tonight. He comes out, and he comes out laughing. And Shane says, the hell is so funny? In fact, what the hell are you even doing here, Paul? And Heyman says, oh, don't you remember, Mr. McMahon? I told you that I would see you next week. And, well, that was last week. And, well, it's next week. And here I am. And then Shane says, yep. And here you go. Goodbye. Security. And then Heyman says, Shane, wait. Before you call your security stooges, let me say what I've got to say. You see, not only did I tell you last week that I would see you later, but I also told you things were about to get extreme. And then Shane just responds, yeah, so what? Ooh, you're talking to ex-ECW talents like Raven and Dudley's, or little O Chavo Guerrero. You don't scare me, Paul. So what is this? My dad's now letting you call the shots in this war? If so, then this will be over quicker than ECW's TV deal. This is a joke. And then Heyman says it laughing with that little smirk that we all know Paul Heyman to have, and he says, That's a good one, Mr. McMahon. No, this isn't a joke. This is an invasion. And right when he says the words invasion, that's when we see ECW Originals, Rob Van Dam, Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman, and Sabu come running in from the crowd. RVD runs up the steps, climbs up to the top turnbuckle, and hits a diving drop kick, the one he's famous for, the one that kind of looks like a karate kick, right onto the WCW World Champion, Booker T, taking him out. We have, the other ECW Originals, Dreamer, Sabu, Sandman. They come racing in through the crowd. They take out DDP. They're taking out Booker T, taking both, all the four men are just pretty much mobbing, DDP and Booker. It's 4-on-2 right now. Shane gets out of there. He's waving for security to come out. Paul Heyman's just standing there laughing while security's coming out, separating, everybody. Dreamer, Sandman, RVD, all of them just get the hell out of there. And it just ends off the show, pretty much signifying that, yes, this is indeed an invasion. And I'd like to explain pretty much what's going on real quick, nerds and geeks. But let's end the show off real quick. We do have a solid B rating. This is the main reason I held ourselves in the tri-state area, just to make sure these ECW guys got over. How long are we into this video? It's going to go on a little bit longer, just so you know, because I want to explain some things to you. Either way, this was an improvised. I didn't know Booker T. Oh, no, Booker T was on the mic. That's right. So, Booker T, Heyman, all improvising really well. RVD's getting better at his gimmick. Dreamer's getting better at his gimmick. In case you guys also didn't know, the people on the pre-show matches that I didn't want you guys seeing were legit these four men right here. Quality lifted the segment. Color lifted the segment. Shane looked good. Booker looked good. DDP came out looking excellent. Unfortunately, these ECW guys, surprisingly, only Sandman underperformed. And we had a couple storylines start and move on with those. And then we just have a couple improvements as well. So Rob Van Dam is improving in performance. Sandman is improving in performance. And Sabu. Unfortunately, not Tommy Dreamer. So we couldn't get all four of our ECW superstars. But that's okay. And we end off the show to get a solid A rating 2 weeks in a row. Hell yes. Increasing our popularity in 17 regions. I'm satisfied with that. So, of course, for those of you who only come for the main part of the show, this is the end of the episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll see you guys for Sunday Night Heat. For those of you guys who want to stick around and hear some of my explanations here, go ahead and stick around. Nitro. Feedback's been awesome. Fantastic reviews. New Japan still looking for extra people. Ooh, HWA, one of our developmental territories, held a show. Let's check that out real quick. Chance Beckett. Why not? He's already on there. Never mind. So let's look at HWA. Chat, I don't know if all these people... I know Russ Haas is under ours. Terry Funk and Disco Inferno getting in a brawl. Rory Fox retaining the Cruiserweight Champion. D'Lo Brown defeating Alex Skipper to retain the Heavyweight Championship. All in all, there you go. Look at this. Brian Clark. I'm unhappy with how I've been used recently. I don't care. Are you the one I don't really like, actually, or is that Adams? I think that's Adams, actually. Yeah. Doesn't matter still. And Raven. Brian Adams needs to learn how to sell. He's not worth pushing. Don't worry about that, Raven. I never planned on pushing Brian Adams. So either way, that officially starts our new storyline. We can go ahead and alter the description here. The Invasion Part 2. Let's go ahead and let's do this. Invasion Part 2, ECW Invasion. So you guys may remember, a little while back, we had Paul Heyman propose, Shane, or to Vince McMahon, give me a month, give me a budget, and let me find you an army. He went and found himself an army. He brought in Rob Van Dam, Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, and Sabu. And that's not even all. As we've seen, he's already talking to other ECW talents like the Dudleys, Raven, even Chavo Guerrero, who wasn't an ECW talent, but the Guerreros pretty much, Eddie got to start in ECW before being brought over to WCW, so on and so forth. And you'll also notice that we have Beulah McGillicuddy, who is, of course, dating Tommy Dreamer. She's the real-life wife of Tommy Dreamer now. She is managing Tommy Dreamer, The one thing that kind of scares me about this ECW invasion, and let's just go ahead and start on Rob Van Dam actually real quick since he's the first one, and he's actually the most popular. So you notice I have RVD being pushed as an upper mid-carder. But if we go to his actual recommended push, it's recommended he be pushed as a lower mid-carder. The ECW guys are not over, and I pretty much need them to be over in a matter of, I don't know, Unforgiven, a couple of weeks from now. So it's going to be a little bit of a work. I don't know if I honestly don't think I will be able to get them over in time. I expected to have, last week too. But this was supposed to start last week. This whole segment was going to happen last week. And then I forgot about the whole, if somebody worked for another company when you hired them, they had to give a week's notice. So I had to wait for RVD, Sabu, and Sandman all to give their week's notice to their previous employers so they can join up with me. So RVD, he's around, a D popularity. That's why I chose the tri-state area, like I said, because that's where they're all popular. But RVD's around that D popularity right now, and he's considered the most popular. We then go to Sabu, who I have being pushed as a mid-carder. He should be an opener. You can see his popularity on the side there. Sandman, same thing goes with him. Mid-carder should be an opener. And then we even go to Tommy Dreamer, who I also have being pushed as a mid-carder, and he should be an enhancement talent. So it is definitely going to take a lot of hope. I'm most likely going to be putting these guys on every show just to kind of hopefully get them over. I'm hoping by putting them with a lot of the big talents right away, it'll help get them over quicker, but we'll see where it goes. Either way, Nerds and Geeks, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I know a lot of you have been waiting for ECW stars, including, and most importantly, including Rob Van Dam to be brought into the game. Well, they're finally here. I'm excited to start this ECW invasion, and I hope you guys are excited too. So if you are, do me a favor, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, my name has been OMG, WTF, LOL, FTWBRB, and I will see you guys for Sunday Night Heat. So until then, have a great day.